The Hyundai Tucson gets a refresh for the 2025 model year. And in this video, I'm going to cover the exterior changes, the interior changes, take it for a drive and see what it's like out on the road, as well as talking about the kind of fuel efficiency you can expect, and also the pricing and how it compares to the competition. And so, as far as the exterior of the 2025 Tucson, well, it got some subtle but noticeable changes, especially if you're familiar with this current generation of Tucson styling. You do have a slightly tweaked front end in all the ways. So you have mainly a new front bumper there, which is a little bit sportier, has the silver accents here on the limited version, and is a nice change without rocking the boat too much or changing the really beautiful looks you already had on Tucson. I think this is one of the coolest looking ones in its segment, and that continues here for 2025. You also still have those hidden lights in the grille still, but the grille is new and they actually reduced the amount of those lights there but made them larger, the ones that remain. And I think it's a really nice look up front there. Coming down to the sides, you also have some new wheel designs for 2025, and this limited one has these nice 19-inch wheels. Also coming down to the sides here, you have a little bit more bright work and all that here for the limited, but really nice. They still offer a bright red here. It looks great too. Going out to the back of the Tucson here, we have a new rear bumper, which is little tweaks, but again, very subtle. You probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the old one and the new one, but you know, little tweaks nonetheless. They also, for an actual practical change, made the rear wiper 3 inches longer, so it'll be a little bit more effective at actually clearing away stuff there in the back. But overall, again, nice little tweaks just to keep the Tucson fresh here for 2025 without messing with it too much. I think they did a really good job on this refresh and kept it nice and subtle, but the interior changes are not so subtle, so let's check that out. So yes, this interior is a huge change from the pre-refresh of the Tucson. It is really, I think, changed for the better in all the ways. And so happy we have more buttons and knobs now. We have, you know, these really beautiful screens, just so many nice improvements. But anyway, first thing, sitting down in these seats, that is one of the things that I don't think has changed for Tucson here for 25. So they're still really nice, soft, comfortable seats though. They're leather here in this limited we're in, and they're heated and ventilated here and have all the usual adjustments. Really great seats. The steering wheel though is new for the Tucson, and it's a really great wheel. We were seeing it across the Hyundai lineup here for 2025. It's got a great 9.3 grip, little 10 and 2 notches, just a few buttons here on the wheel, but they actually feel pretty premium with these little metal scrollers, and overall a really nice wheel. It's also a heated wheel here in this limited version, and that's certainly a nice feature to have. Moving on to the gauge cluster here. So that's one segment of this double 12.3-inch display that we have here on the SEL Convenience, N-Line, and Limited versions. The SEL and the base version, the SE, don't have that. But even on the base ones, you still have like basically a digital cluster. It's just not a full screen. It's just like some little illuminated colored portions instead. Still is totally fine, still does have the middle portion there that you can change, but this is a really nice display here for these higher trims. You can see there's various different views you can swap it over to, in addition to just the regular, you know, information you can scroll through. But it's great you have the customization of, you know, different views for fun, and you can also have it change depending on the drive mode that you're in. And, you know, really nice set of gauges there. Also, right next to the gauges on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a fingerprint scanner now. That is a new thing they added here, and that is only here on this limited, but that allows you to have either a digital key or just use the actual fingerprint to start the vehicle up if you would so like to do that. And yeah, a cool little touch. I don't know how many people are going to do that. I feel like it's just easier for everyone to either use your phone or just to, you know, have the key fob the old-fashioned way, but nice to have that. It's a fun little touch. You also have a head-up display here in the limited as well, which is great. It's giving you not only just like your speed and like your lane keep assist, but it'll also even in the head-up display tell you whenever there's someone in your blind spot, which is helpful to have that right there in your forward field of view without even having to turn your head to see the mirrors, where you still do have the indicators on the mirrors. But, you know, a really nicely done head-up display in my opinion. Coming over to the middle of the dashboard here, again, you have that other 12.3-inch display, and it's really great. So this brand new software we have on all these 2025 Hyundais now finally brings us wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. No more plugging your phone in order to get that smartphone integration here in these Hyundais, which has been something most reviewers, including myself, have complained about for years. Finally, Hyundai has listened and put in that wireless connectivity finally. And this whole screen is pretty nice and easy to navigate. The one odd thing, though, is that there are some things that are hidden and you can't just tap on an icon in order to bring them up. You have to use these shortcut buttons below. So, for example, if you want to go into the radio screen. There is no actual radio screen unless you already have it on. You have to hit the media button and it'll go to your last used media, or you hit it twice to bring up the menu of selection of, whatever you want to choose there. And just a little bit of an odd thing there, like why not have also an on-screen thing to bring up the radio? And the other thing I will complain about with the radio, same as any of these other new Hyundais, is that there's no way to see the song title or artist unless you go into the media page and then click in the bottom right corner to bring up and have it take over the entire screen. A horrible use of space, and that's the only way it will show you the song title and the artist. Otherwise, it's always showing you album art and the channel name if you're on Sirius XM. And whether you're on the home page or you're again just pulling it up on the regular media page there, it will not tell you the song name. I feel like song name is something that most people enjoy having, and the artist name, and the fact that it's hidden and there's only one way to access that is the only gripe I have with this system. Everything else is fine. Maps work great. Everything else is nice and easy. I love you also have not only a volume knob but a tuning knob, so very easy to change radio stations and all that, and really great screen. You also get a Bose stereo here in the Tucson for the first time, and it's a really nice stereo. It sounds fantastic, very clear and crisp, and yeah, been a really top-notch stereo, one of the best in this segment in my opinion. Beneath that control, you also have your HVAC controls here, and again, nice knobs here to change your temperature. Unfortunately, you still have a few little on-screen buttons here for turning on your heated seats, heated steering wheel, all that. But I also like and appreciate that there are multiple stages for the heated steering wheel, for example. So if you don't want it roasting your fingers, you can have it so it's just a little bit warm. And that's something some other competitors don't offer, that variability. So I love that. And yes, I'd rather have just regular buttons for those things just for ease of use, but easy enough to use in my opinion, not a big deal. And then coming down, you also do have a more open space here. Instead of a regular console, you have this really wide open area, and it's really nice depending on your body type and your height. But like for me, I don't have to worry about like banging my knee in any console or center tunnel or anything, because it's all wide open. So it gives me a little bit of a roomier feel up front here for my legs than a lot of the other competitors. I'm not tall, I'm only 5'9", but still appreciated nonetheless. And in that bin area, you'll see again a massive space here, two different spaces, both rubberized, and be holding your stuff in very nicely. And you also in that area have two USB-C jacks and a regular power outlet. And then coming back here, you have a few more buttons here by this whole little floating center console thing. And in that area, you also see your wireless charging pad, which you get on, I think, everything except the base these days. But it's a really nice, fast wireless charging pad. It's nice and grippy, so it holds your phone in place really well. It's a wide contact patch, so it actually charges your phone reliably. It's amazing how many wireless charging pads in other competing vehicles are just borderline useless. This one actually holds your phone in place, actually charges. Crazy, but that is a notable thing here, at least in 2025 model year vehicles. And then you have your two cup holders, center armrest, which is a little bit of padding on it, but a little firm, but not too bad. You open that up and you have a nice deep cubby in there. You also have another bonus space here right in front of the passenger, a really nice large shelf. This is smoother, so that's not going to hold stuff in place very well, unfortunately. I wish the bottom of that was rubberized, but still just nice bonus space nonetheless. And this whole shelf, by the way, it forms a nice little ridge to rest your finger on whenever you're tapping around on the screen too, which is a nice improvement considering the last Tucson just had everything totally flush, and there you really had to just have your arm hanging out there in midair, trying to tap stuff. So having the shelf is a really nice feature. The last little new thing before we move on to the back seat is that you have a column-mounted shifter now, and I love this shifter. It frees up again all this extra space in the middle that you used to have. I really love that. I think it's honestly my favorite column shifter in the industry right now. So quick and easy if you're backing up, going forward reverse. It's so quick and easy to do it with that. I love that. Anyway, moving on to the back seat. That is basically the same as the pre-refresh Tucson, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but it's a nice spacious back seat. I'm 5'9", I'm sitting behind myself. I have a couple inches of legroom to spare, a little bit more space than some of the other competitors in this segment. I also don't think this is the best in class either, but I'd say above average space for this segment of vehicle. And they also have their own air vents, two USB-C jacks back there, and fold down center armrest. You also have this beautiful panoramic roof to look out of here in this Limited and also in the N-Line version. And, so a really nice back seat. It's also a heated back seat for those outboard rear seats here for the Limited only, but very nice to have that little luxury touch as well. Cargo space is also unchanged from pre-refresh, but it's a nice wide, nice long space there, has a power outlet in the back, and also Also, when you lift up the floor, you will see that there's a spare tire still present, which is very much appreciated. And that floor also has 2 different levels, so you can also lower it down and have a little bit more space. If you don't care about having the flat load floor with those seats dropped, you can, you know, drop it a little bit lower there, which is certainly nice if you're trying to pack in every last little bit of stuff you can. But let's start up and go for a drive. The Tucson here has the newer Hyundai key with the Hyundai badge there going through those buttons, which are just plastic buttons, but it is a nice key. It's a little bit on the large side. That's the only thing I don't love. It takes up a lot of space in my pocket, but other than that, you know, also has the smart park thing there, because you can still, you know, do that if you'd like with putting the vehicle forward and reverse, you know, remotely. But anyway, of course, it is keyless access, keyless entry, and push button start. So you just leave the key in your pocket, hit the end of start button, and it starts right up. All right, so setting off here in the 2025 Tucson. So the first thing you notice about this vehicle, well, I think the first thing that I notice is you have really great visibility. You have really nice thin A-pillars. They're notably thinner than some of the others in this segment, and a really great view forward, nice large windshield. Mirrors are at the A-pillar there, but they don't really get in the way in my experience, and you have a great view out of the back, and all just nice and easy. You also have, especially here on these top trims, you have the 360 camera, so very easy as far as maneuvering this vehicle. You have all the parking sensors here, and you know, just all the different views. You even have like the 3D view where you can spin the vehicle around in your spot and see, you know, how it looks there if you're really worried about a perfect parking job. You have all that to help you out, so nice and easy to maneuver, and it's a nice, you know, smaller vehicle as well, so not too hard to you know, manage either. But otherwise here, brakes nice and smooth, responsive, predictable, work exactly the way you want them to. You know, nice and easy to be smooth with, and no complaints there. Other things here, throttle response, nice and normal and responsive. You know, while some of the other competitors in this segment go to CVT transmissions, which are a little mushier with their you know, feel and response, this has a regular normal 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission, and it's a nice smooth one too. The shifts are well programmed, so I'm not waiting for a downshift, and it just all feels good. And it's one of those ones where it's done so well that I don't pay attention to it. It just kind of falls away into the background, does its job, and you know, it's better than some of the others in this segment for sure as a result. And steering weight also is really perfect. I'd say it's not too heavy, not too light, just right. And so as far as all the driving dynamics of this vehicle, they really nailed it. It is absolutely perfect for this segment of vehicle, in my opinion. The ride is also very good too, and it's a little bit of a quieter ride. You don't hear as much road noise as some of the competitors, and it's just really nice. We're climbing a hill here, and you know, just even at 2,000 RPMs, sounds totally fine, you know. And again, a little bit better than some of the others. I was just in a Nissan Rogue, and that definitely is not as quiet as this is. But anyway, I just put it up into the sport mode here, and let's turn down onto this back road and see how it accelerates. Here we go. All right, so you know, good amount of acceleration here. Nothing crazy, but it gets the job done, and gets the job done, I think, well enough. You know, it's got a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. It does an 8.8 second 0 to 60, and there's no surprises here. You know, it's fine. It's not exciting. There are some competitors, even at about the same price point as this, that do give you more power with a turbocharged engine. I'll get more into those in a little bit later in the video here, but it's completely fine. Unless you're an enthusiast, you might want more power, but for the average driver, this is going to be completely fine. No complaints whatsoever with the power. So we just have 235 wide all-season tires, you know, usual kind of setup for this segment, and it handles really well. You know, I actually have to say that it is, again, once again, a little bit better with the handlings than some of the others. It feels a little more buttoned down, a little more composed, and just a little bit flatter, while still, again, giving you that smooth ride. So it's not like this is, you know, sportier at the expense of comfort. It is just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit better with the handling than, again, Rogue I was just in this week as well, and some of the others too. And it's not the sportiest handler in the segment. Once again, the Tucson is very much mid-pack with its performance. You know, there are some ones that I think are a little more fun to take around corners. Mazda CX-5, Honda CR-V are, you know, two of the standouts in this segment that are, you know, a little bit more enjoyable. But again, we're talking about a regular family in a compact crossover here. I'm not going to review it like a sports car, but it handles itself totally fine. And if you want the sure-footed grip of all-wheel drive, that'll cost you $1,500 extra on every trim. So it's not standard on anything. And that is notable because some of the other competitors these days are all-wheel drive as standard. And, you know, that's fine if you live in a place that gets bad weather or, you know, snow, whatever. But, you know, for a lot of the country, especially those sunnier states, you don't need that. And so the Tucson offers you that nice savings and discount of about $1,500, you know, to further drive the price of these down if you just are fine with front-wheel drive and don't need that all-wheel drive traction. And, you know, this week it's been actually pretty mild, even though, you know, there is a little bit of snow on the ground. Didn't get a chance to test out the all-wheel drive system here in this, but, you know, Hyundai's system is totally fine. Once again, nothing crazy, but gets the job done just fine, and no complaints with that. And so, yeah, you know, on a regular, normal back road, it's really well behaved, really confidence inspiring, and just really good. And now we're out on the highway here in the Tucson, and it's really nice out here as well. So going around a gentle corner right now. I am babysitting it because we do have a lot of traffic here around rush hour time. But it's doing a pretty good job of keeping the lanes. Now, in the past, Hyundai's system isn't one of the best as far as lane keep, and I know in the past, even a few months with some of the other Hyundais I've had, they will let me still go over the road lines without intervening, which is strange because the lane keep assist system, whenever you're on normal roads or you're driving yourself without the cruise control system on, will oftentimes be overly militant about like really making sure that I'm staying in the lanes. And like if I am even approaching the line, not even on the line or, you know, grazing the line, but like getting close to the line, it nudges the wheel back into the middle a little bit more. And so it really wants you to be perfectly centered in the lane. And unfortunately, there's no way to tweak the setting for that aggressiveness. So it's either you have it on or you have it off, and there's no middle ground. I'd love to see them do some kind of, you know, little tweak there to allow you to custom tailor how aggressive you want that to intervene for you. But aside from that one complaint, it was still not doing it constantly, but it just was a nudge every once in a while. And again, at least you can turn it off. But aside from that one thing, it's really nice out here on the highway. This is a very windy day, so you might be hearing a little more wind noise than you normally would hear in a Tucson, but it's a really nice highway cruiser. And this adaptive cruise control system, by the way, is standard across the board, as is all the other safety technology. Blind spot monitoring with your cross traffic alert, automatic emergency braking, again, that lane keep assist, all these things are all standard now. And a lot of car companies are doing the same thing here for these newest models, but just worth noting that Hyundai has kept up and is doing that as well. I think for the higher trims here, you get a slightly more advanced adaptive cruise control system, but I don't think that really helps you much because, again, it is still, you know, not the best system out there in my opinion. But, you know, again, it works well enough. Just if you want to have the most reassuring steering assist out on the highway, a lot of the other competitors do give you a little bit, you know, more of a safety net so that there is no going over the road lines. And so that's the only thing they need to improve on this, in my opinion. But a lot of people really love the Hyundai Highway Drive Assist system, and they have better luck with it than I do. I'm just on these windy highways here in southwestern Pennsylvania where I live, where it's a little bit more demanding and, you know, just is struggling a little bit more than on the usual straight highways of America. But the other little thing to mention about safety here is that this is a Top Safety Pick Plus award winner here for 2024, you know, 2025 model year vehicles. And that is also notable because there's, you know, many others in this segment that are not safety picks or top safety pick, you know, pluses like this one is. So this gets top marks for safety. And not only is it top marks as far as that rating, but also because in the middle of 2024, they also added the pre-tensioners and load limiters for the rear seat belts. And that allowed them to get a good rating in the newest crash test where it focuses on rear occupant safety and child safety in particular in those rear seats. And that's a test that a lot of companies are struggling with, and they're falling off that top safety pick list as a result of not doing well in that test. And the Hyundai got a good. It didn't just pass with an acceptable like many other safe brands did, but it got a top mark of good for that test. And so that means this is going to be one of the best, if not the absolute best, in this segment as far as safety, and in particular rear seat safety. But I mean, it aces basically all the tests across the board, really. And so very impressive. And I have to commend Hyundai for reacting so quickly and adding in those adjustments to the rear seat belt in order to not only just pass the test very well, but increase that safety now that that is something that, you know, safety-minded buyers are having on their radar. Fuel economy for the Tucson is 24 24 mpg in the city, 30 on the highway, and 26 combined. And that is going to be for this all-wheel drive limited version. You can get slightly better fuel economy if you go for the front-wheel drive. And the fuel economy is, pretty much par for the course in this segment. Some of the others are rated a little bit higher. Now, as far as my real-world fuel economy, I'm getting 22.5 mpg, and that was mostly around town, suburban kind of driving, a little bit of highway driving. I'd say I did, maybe close to 50% highway, so it would have been nice to see a little bit higher, but I do typically get 1 to 2 mpg less than the city rating in my driving. I'm only 1.5 under that, and we are in the winter time here as well, which usually drags it down even further. And so, I think that this is actually sticking pretty close to, its quoted fuel economy here. So I don't have too many complaints. And the thing about fuel economy, if you are someone who is worried about fuel economy more, you're going to want to go for the hybrid version. That can get up to 38 mpg combined. And then there's also even the option for a plug-in hybrid here for the Tucson as well. It's one of the few in this segment that offer a plug-in hybrid. That'll give you about 33 miles of range, I believe, of all electric range if you plug it in. And then, the gas engine to back you up beyond that. And both of those are great options. Both of those options, by the way, are also more powerful. So if you are someone who really likes the Tucson but wants a little bit more power, it's a power upgrade with those hybridized options as well, with the plug-in hybrid being the fastest at 268 horsepower. I believe it's like 238 horsepower for the regular hybrid, but both, really nice improvements if that is something you're after as well. And then the last thing to mention is the pricing and how it compares to the competition. So as far as pricing goes, these start at $30,000 almost exactly, and then this one as tested is $42,000 for basically a fully loaded limited. The paint color is an extra $500 too, so but $42,000. And at that price point, it puts it again very much mid-pack average. It's not the cheapest, it's not the most expensive, it's just kind of mid-pack there for that. But there are a few competitors that are a little bit cheaper. So let's get into that. And before we do, though, I first want to mention that if you are shopping for a Tucson and you want the lowest price possible, you're definitely going to want to head over to mattmotoring.com. There you'll be able to go to the new car quotes page and be able to get access to dealer invoice pricing, as well as getting connected to a dealer near you to check one of these out in person for yourself and see what you think about the new Tucson. So there'll be a link in the description as well as a pinned comment here below where you can click there and go straight to that site and get that information and get connected. But now, as far as how this compares to the competition, there's definitely a few value competitors out there that are going to come in a little bit less. And one of them actually shares a lot of the same bones with this vehicle, and that's the Kia Sportage. The Kia Sportage is about $3,500 less than this, and at that lower price point, it has the same exact engine, same transmission, same platform, much of the same technology, I just spent actually a week with the plug-in hybrid version of the Sportage because it offers the same powertrains of the regular gas, the hybrid, and the plug-in. It's still really nice, and I think I maybe prefer this interior slightly, but for much of the same vehicle underneath and still being very impressive, I think the Kia is a nice discount, and really I think the hardest competitor for this vehicle, because it is again so similar for a good bit of a discount less than this. And so that's the biggest one now, and that's also the only other one that offers the 10-year 100,000 mile powertrain warranty that the Hyundai provides. The Kia provides that as well, but Kia doesn't give you complimentary maintenance. So the Hyundai gives you complimentary maintenance as far as regular scheduled maintenance for the first 3 years or 36,000 miles. So nice little perk, in the Hyundai's favor, but those maintenances aren't going to be $3,500. So I think, if you like this package, I think that, Sportage is a slightly better value there. But if you want to get an even better value and you're willing to, get rid of that 10-year warranty, you have the Mazda CX-5. Those are about $5,500 less expensive. Now, you don't get a heated steering wheel, I don't believe, and there's a few other things. So, it comes down to, exactly what features you want and don't want. But the CX-5 is really nice. It's a little bit sportier. It's just as punchy as this, really well programmed for, the transmission, the engine, and all that. And I really like the CX-5. It's one of my favorites in the segment. It is a little bit tighter. Back seat's not quite as big. The front feels a tiny bit more cramped with the traditional kind of console and all that. So this feels certainly a lot more modern than that Mazda does, because that Mazda is pretty dated at this point. But $5,500 is a really nice discount. And if you are after more power, you can actually get the turbo version of the CX-5 with way more power, really nice and punchy, and that still comes in ever so slightly less expensive than this too. And if you want a little bit more of a modern Mazda, you can also get the CX-50, and even that comes in, I believe, about $3,000 or so less expensive than this. And if you want the turbocharged version of that, that only is about $500 more expensive. And the CX-50 doesn't really improve on the interior space, unfortunately. It just gives you a newer interior, but it's the same kind of cramped situation as the CX-5, but a really nice vehicle with the CX-50 as well. So that's another one that's really impressive. That also, now the CX-50 offers a hybrid version, which is new for 2025 for that as well. So another one to consider, again, at a nice discount. I think the Mazda interior feels a little more premium, especially that CX-50, brand new interior. It's beautiful, very premium, and a little bit nicer than this. The only thing is Mazda still makes you use a controller wheel to navigate their on-screen stuff, but you do have a touch-enabled functionality for at least the smartphone integration there for that. So that's the only other downside of that one. And then as far as the other competitors, I could spend 30 minutes going through all of them and the pros and cons of all of them, but really those are the best value ones. There's also the Chevy Equinox, which is also new for 2025, and that does have a bigger screen. I don't like the way the Equinox drives as much as this. It's not bad, but this drives a little bit better in my opinion, has a little bit more punch. So I prefer this over Equinox, but that is $2,000 less. If there's another one that appeals to you and does give you that discount, I could see that also having a little bit of an edge over this too. But then whenever you get into the other competitors, one competitor that's only $500 less is the Subaru Forester in its comparable top trim, and that has a worse powertrain, worse infotainment, and in my opinion worse styling, and it's only $500 less. I'd skip that one. I'd also skip the Ford Escape. It does give you a little bit of a punchier powertrain that's pretty well behaved, but that is also a little dated, feels a little smaller inside, and that one also has gotten rid of the HVAC controls altogether as far as buttons, and it's all in the screen. And I don't love that all-screen approach, and I think a lot of consumers don't seem to love that either. I think Hyundai recognized that very quickly, which is why they added back in all these knobs and buttons here, and Ford hasn't gotten that memo yet. So unfortunately, the Ford continues with just everything being in the screen. So I'd skip the Escape for that reason. Another one that I think most people are probably safe to skip is the Volkswagen Tiguan for now, because it's also very dated, and depending on pricing, there's not really a comparable trim that gives you everything this does, because again, it is an older vehicle, so it doesn't have some of those newest features. But Tiguan is going to be having a new generation here for 2025. We don't know pricing for that yet as of the time of me filming this, at least, but that will give you a bigger 15-inch screen, but that I'm guessing will be a little bit more expensive. We'll wait and see what they do there. And then one of the other competitors that also has a little bit of a niche appeal is the Mitsubishi Outlander. That is the last one in this segment to offer a third row. All of them get a third row as standard. It's a very small third row. It's really only a jump seat that you want to use, in a pinch. And again, only in a pinch for small riders for sure. But it is, the only one that offers that. And it also, for that top Outlander, it does give you a massage as well. It's a simple massage, but does give you a massage and feels, pretty premium for the interior on that one. But that Outlander comes in at $500 more expensive. And that also gives you a CVT that I don't love. And, Outlander, I think, isn't super competitive. Now, while we're talking about the ones that are more expensive, there are, the two top sellers in this segment are more expensive, the Toyota RAV4 and the Honda CR-V. Both of them are, not much more expensive, but they are, just a little bit more expensive. And at those price points of, just at this point, it's only about $1,000 or so, roughly. The CR-V is a really solid value because that gives you a hybrid in that top version as standard, and gives you all-wheel drive as standard, all those types of things. And so, you're paying a little bit more than the regular gas Tucson here, but you get better fuel economy with that hybrid, more power and punch with that hybrid. Now, the downside of the CR-V is that you have a smaller touchscreen, and the interior doesn't feel quite as premium in some ways. In other ways, it might feel a little nicer, but again, it's kind of a little bit behind on the technology in that CR-V. If that's not important to you, though, CR-V drives really good. One of my favorite driving ones in this segment. And again, that hybrid powertrain is really great to have there at basically the same price point as many of these non-hybrid competitors. The RAV4 is the top seller in this segment and the top selling vehicle in America outside of the Ford F-150. and for good reason. The RAV4 is, you know, really good, same great normal 8-speed automatic and 4-cylinder combo as you get here in this, you know, very similar kind of power levels and all that. Really drives nicely, but the interior, you know, has smaller screens. It's not as premium feeling as this is, and so RAV4, it's also probably on its way out. We're going to probably get a new generation here at some point this year potentially, and so, you know, you're going to have kind of an older vehicle, you know, in a year or less potentially. If that's not important to you though, I mean, RAV4 has famous reliability, and yes, the warranty isn't as long, but I mean, RAV4 is, you know, it's arguably the most reliable one in this segment. And for some people, that's worth that tiny little bit of a price premium over, you know, these other competitors. And so RAV4 is another one that, you know, certainly makes a very compelling case for itself still, even you know, many years later, and it not being super fresh. But the last competitor I'll mention that I think is an easy one to skip is the Nissan Rogue. The Rogue is about $2,500 more expensive, comparably equipped, and the Rogue is just not good with the powertrain combo. It gives you a turbo motor that gives you a little bit more power, but the CVT is really just not programmed well, in my opinion. It wasn't as refined inside. Just, I mean, I had it the same week here as the Tucson, and I found myself easily preferring this over the Rogue. And again, the fact that it comes in at a much higher price level for the Rogue, easy one to nix, in my opinion, unfortunately. I mean, you know, the interior is nice on the Rogue, but that price premium I just can't justify. So yeah, but anyway, that's all of my thoughts here. Overall, I think the Tucson is, you know, again, solidly mid-pack. It's not, I don't think, my favorite in this segment, but it is one of my favorites. It's, you know, in the top few in my mind at least, and I do really like the Tucson a lot. And if, you know, that long warranty, or just the way that, you know, Hyundai does things with having everything be touchscreen and all that, you know, gives you an edge over the Mazda or some of those other competitors, I think the Tucson is certainly a great choice. And I've had a really nice time this week daily driving it, and you know, driving the family around, all that it does, you know, very well, and a very likable little vehicle. So anyway, that's all of my thoughts here on the 2025 Tucson. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Huge thanks to Hyundai for providing me here with this vehicle to review for you guys. Yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.